What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the Raging Rainbow. My name is Dylan, doing another comic book review with you guys today, but today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm not reviewing one of the more established comic book companies. I'm actually doing an independent comic today, and I wanted to talk to you guys about Deathshroud, #1. And this book is so cool. So, first of all, I just want to start out by saying this book I got through Indiegogo. If you guys are not supporting any campaigns on Indiegogo, you need to be doing that because the best way to support comics getting made is to support independent creators. Because the big two, they have all their crap anyway, so they're going to make money regardless. The independent creators though, the people who are going to make the new characters who you're going to love, yeah, they need your help. So make sure to go out of your way to support them. Anyway, that's just my little thing on that. So let's just kind of dive into this because this was actually the very first Indiegogo campaign that I ever supported or whatever. And it just looked really appealing to me. And the pitch to it was that it was for fans of Spawn and Venom. I was like, well, all right, well, you got me. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to back it. And now that I've gotten it, I am so glad that I did. If you guys can, you should go. I'm going to put a link for this particular campaign. I believe it's still in demand, so you can still get it. If you can, go and pick it up because it's such a good story. Anyway, let's just kind of talk about it. And we start out with this little military mission. The art in this book is so incredible. You're going to see what I mean. But we start out with this little mission that these guys are on, and their mission goes south, and all of a sudden they get blown to hell. So, guys falling through the sky, and he kind of has memories of his family or his marriage, and then kind of more his life, I guess, really. But anyway, as he's doing that, we see that there's this thing suddenly takes control of him. This force suddenly takes control of him, and he transforms into this thing, and he doesn't know what's going on, but he just kind of stumbles off and takes off or whatever. And so he leaves from there, and he still has no idea what's going on, but somehow he's able to just disappear. He teleports or whatever. And then there's this one shot where we go to heaven, and it's weird because it's it says that it's heaven, but then there's this really weird demonic entity talking this angelic celestial being, which just, like I said, the art in this book is so incredible. So we go back to the hero, and he pops up in a city because I guess he was wanting to go back to his home city, and he shows up there. But when he does, he stumbles into this alley or whatever the hell, and he meets this cloaked figure, which is always ominous. Whenever you just run into a cloaked figure, I don't know how many cloaked figures you've run into in your lifetime, but I've run into my fair share, and it's usually something kind of ominous. So we see that it's actually not too bad. This character, it's actually Charon, which is the ferryman of the dead from, I believe, Greek and Roman mythology. But if you look at him, he kind of reminded me a little bit, I guess I could say Groot, but he kind of reminded me more of something out of Pan's Labyrinth, which was so cool. I love the design. He just looks so nice. But anyway, he's telling him that he's been given this power that he's currently wielding because his father is actually death, death itself. And so he goes on to tell him the story about, death having spent so long, being the person that, well, I guess not really person, the entity that most souls would encounter at the end of their life. And he wanted to know what it would be like for him to create life. And so we get this very touching moment where, well, I guess it's kind of a creepy moment too, where he sees this woman who's about to die or whatever, or she's in there with cancer. He says that her doctors are lying to her, so I don't know if they gave her a diagnosis that she was going to be okay or something like that. But he's basically saying look, you're going to die, but I can delay that for you because I'm death. So I can do that if you will agree to carry my child and raise my child for me. And so she's like, well, yeah, I agree. So apparently that creates this issue, obviously, for the beings in heaven, because something like that cannot exist. And they go on to say that the child is a half-breed, he's a Nephilim, and the Nephilim came close to destroying them once before, so obviously they can't have him around, they don't want that. And so they send they're ruled by this council of like the different like virtues or whatever. And this one, I believe, which one was he? Order. Order sends an assassin to try and take out the child. And so we see this scene where like the mom's like, fighting for her kid. She like runs head first at the kid, at the demon or whatever. And she's like, give him to me. I mean, that was pretty badass. She like runs into him and tackles him. But I mean, of course, it doesn't really turn out for the best for her. And she ends up biting the dust. But I mean, conveniently, Death does show up and kills the demon. So he takes his child and he's like, I'm going to make sure you're safe. I'm going to take you away from here or whatever. And the demon goes back and actually lies and says that he took care of both the mother and the child. So now, as far as Order knows, they're both gone. So problem eliminated. We're good. And so we come to find out that actually Death took his child and took it to an orphanage where it was taken in by some nuns. And then that brings us back to modern day. Now, one thing that I did notice was a little bit disappointing here. I guess I don't want to put everything on the editor, but I mean, that's kind of what the job is, editing. So unfortunately in here, when we get introduced to his like weapon or whatever, I guess his iconic weapon, what will be his iconic weapon, it has a misspelling. At first I wasn't sure because I read it and I was like, wait, is that supposed to say Reclaimer or is it really Recalimer? But no, later on it does say Reclaimer. So unfortunately, the very first time that we're introduced to the weapon, it has a misspelling. But, again, editors, we need to get on that because things like that really kind of step on the moment. But anyway, so we go on from there and we see the scene where, again, that demonic entity from earlier is back to challenge Deathshroud. I'm just going to call him that. I think that's actually going to be his name, but I'm just going to call him that because that's what it says on the cover. And so he starts fighting. Well, Charon tells him like, leave. I'll distract him. You get out of here. And so he's about to leave, but then he's like, no, wait, I gotta help because then all of these different demons show up. So he starts like shooting and fighting with them. And it was pretty cool. Again, like I said, like the art in this book was just so incredible. I loved every time I turned the page, it just kept getting better. So yeah, he like fights them off, and then he's about to like get away, but he decides that heaven and hell don't want him alive, so he's not going to go out quietly. So kind of basically deciding he's going to wage a war with heaven and hell, and that's where we leave off at the first issue. I mean, look at his back cover too. Isn't that cool? But I mean, yeah, I loved this book. This was such a cool book. And it really was. It very much did remind me of Spawn. So, I mean, I loved it from beginning to end. And I don't know if anyone out there has had the chance to read this. If you haven't, then you should definitely go back it on Indigo or go order it on Indiegogo because I believe, like I said, it's still in demand. But yeah, like I said, we need to support independent comics more often because that's the only way we're going to see more comics. Because like I said, Marvel and DC, they already have themselves set up perfectly that they're just going to be making money off of movies and TV shows and merchandise sales for a while. And they'll keep throwing comic books at us. They're not going to be writing comics that fans want to buy. They're going to be writing comics that they feel good about making. So if you want comics that actually endorse what fans want, then support independent because they actually care about what their fans want to read. So that was what I wanted to hop on this video to talk about real quick with you guys. I hope that someone out there has had the chance to read this. If you have, let me know what you think. If you haven't, let me know what you think. Do you think this is something you want to read? Are you going to be checking that out? If you do, please let me know. But anyway, guys, that is it for me. So if you like the video, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to. And if you're done here, go read a book. If not, then I will see you on the next video.